fantastic sparkling day. Welcome to Porchlight Letters podcast number 2548. And today our question is, where was your family when they got engaged? So yesterday we talked about the first date. Today we're talking about the engagement. Where were they when they got engaged? Who were there to share the moment? How did they celebrate? What kind of ring did they receive? Do they have any photos from that day? And how did it feel? Exciting, surprising, romantic? Some moments change a day. Engagements change a lifetime. Engagement is one of those moments when two people stop talking about someday and begin planning a future together. Some proposals are carefully planned out, complete with flowers, a special location, and a ring hidden until the right moment. Others happen quietly at home, during a walk, over dinner, or in the middle of an ordinary day. However it happened, one question and one answer changed the direction of two lives. Every engagement story is different. Who asked whom? Were they nervous? Was the answer immediate, or did some need a moment to catch their breath? Did family and friends know the proposal was coming, or was everybody completely surprised? These are the details that make families' love stories unique. And as you've been hearing, I am a huge romantic. I love listening to the love stories, the engagements, to the proposals, the weddings. Engagement traditions have also changed through the generations. Some couples choose the ring together, while others use a family ring that has already been carried years of history. In some families, permission or blessing was requested before the proposal. There may have been an engagement party, a newspaper announcement, formal photographs, or simply excited telephone calls to share the news. That engagement became the beginning of plans, decisions, and dreams. Wedding dates were discussed, homes were imagined, families were brought together, and a new branch of the family tree began to take shape. Even when the proposal itself was simple, its impact could reach through every generation that followed. I have to say, I absolutely love our engagement story. And Brad will always tell you that Brad's favorite thing about our engagement story is that he hid my ring, and he hid my engagement ring in the kitchen, in my kitchen cabinets. What he doesn't say about that, we'd actually been to a jewelry show and we looked at different settings, and and I wanted a sapphire ring. I'm not the diamond girl. I like the colored stones. And so we found this really nice set. I thought it was a beautiful sapphire. He thought it was too dark, but he got it because I liked it. And then we're looking at all sorts of different settings and things. And then he leaves me somewhere and goes back into the show and comes back later on. I see no evidence of any box or anything. He said he looked and couldn't find what he needed. And so we went home and carried on. And then April 25th, 1998 came around, and he suggested we go out for dinner. I'm like, okay, let's go out for dinner. So we hopped in the car and we drove to Old Town Alexandria, and we're walking down through the Old Town area. It's beautiful. It's right there on the river. It's absolutely gorgeous. We went into what I call Torpedo Park because it's right next to the torpedo factory. I have no idea if that's its official name or not, but that's where we went. And he said, oh, let's sit on this bench. I went, okay. And there's lots of stuff going on. There's people riding bikes through there. They're running through there. There's people having picnics. It's just I don't even remember what night it was. Might have been a Friday or a Saturday. I don't remember. It was either a Friday or a Saturday. I don't remember. Hang on. I should know this, shouldn't I? 25th of April to 1998 was of course they don't tell me. What day of the week? Saturday. It was a Saturday night. Okay. That fits in. I mean, Friday night would have fit in as well. So it's a Saturday night. And there's people all over the place. There's all sorts of activities going on in the park area, and families together, couples, singles. It didn't matter. And so we're sitting there on the bench, and he asks me to close my eyes. So I closed my eyes, and he's sitting on my left-hand side, and we're on this park bench, and we're facing towards the river, but there's these trees in the way, so you can't see the river because of the trees. And there's a gravel path that we're on, sitting on the edge of. And he says to me, he says to me very quietly, he says, tell me what you can hear. And so I've got my eyes closed, and I turn around and I say, well, I can hear somebody running on the gravel. I can hear somebody going past on a bike. I can hear children playing. I can hear people talking. And then with that, a plane went overhead to go into Reagan National because it was on the flight path for the landing in there and also the takeoff as well. But this was land coming into land. So I mentioned that. You mentioned somebody was playing music in the distance and just going all the things that I hear. And he goes, well, you've missed one. And I'm sitting there going, I'm going through, well, there's the people talking, there's the bike, there was the runner. And like, I'm going down the list and I'm like matching it with the sounds that I heard. And I'm like, I've got everything. And I said, I think I got everything. He says, nope. He said, you didn't hear me say, I love you. Will you marry me? And with that, he slips my engagement ring on to my finger. And he had actually, we purchased the stone separately. He had purchased the settings separately. And he had somehow smuggled it out of the house to a jeweler's to get them put together. And then smuggled it back in. But his favorite thing about that is that he hid my engagement ring in my kitchen. What he doesn't say about the story is the kitchen we were in was an apartment building. And there's a kitchen door that was a snap about yay wide. And it was at the end of there was 2 kitchen cabinets here, and then this went here for the door, but the shelf went all the way back into the corner to the back of the other 2 cabinets that were there. So they're like this, on a corner. And he had, and these cabinets were high. I'm only 5'4". I was eye level with the bottom shelf. So I only ever used it was my spice cabinet. I only used the first 2 shelves because that was as far as I could reach. He went to the 3rd shelf and around the corner where I would never see it anyway, because I never got up there. And his big problem was that he had my engagement ring in the corner. So that was where he put my ring. That was our engagement. That's when we got engaged on the 25th of April, 1998, which he did not realize until I told him later when I discovered it. It was his parents' wedding anniversary. And then fast forward to this year, April 25th of 2026, his youngest nephew got married in Cabo San Lucas on April 25th. Which happened to be the 81st anniversary of Brad's parents' wedding anniversary. So very special day, very special moment. But we got engaged then, and so then, all excited. So we decided to go somewhere for dinner. Had no idea where we were going. We walked back through Old Town. We come across the Old Irish pub. We go in there. They take us to this table. It wasn't really a table, it was more like a bench on the edge of a railing. And we sat there and we're reading the play and enjoying the atmosphere. I love going to Irish pubs. Enjoying the atmosphere, and we had placemats on the thing. And I wish I could remember all the names that were on there, but there were like 5 or 6. This placemat listed 5 or 6 Irishmen who were supposed to be executed for whatever treason or whatever it was. But they were so popular with the public that Queen Victoria ended up sending them down to Australia as convicts, and how these names and how one of the names appeared on some official documentation that was sent back to England. And Queen Victoria supposedly, I don't know how true the story is. I wish I'd taken a placemat. That would have been really cool. And so Queen Victoria recognized the name and so asked for them to investigate. And it turned out that these people now, one of them was like the governor of Texas. One of them was not the Prime Minister of Australia, the Deputy Prime Minister of Australia or something like that. They all held these high government official postings in Australia or in the US. That story was, take whatever moral you want from that story. But that was kind of an interesting story. But then they started they had a live band going up there, and then the owner of Murphy's Irish Pub or Murphy's Irish Pub, I think it was. But anyway, the owner came down and at one point he had on this very tatty, totally needed a redo, unicorn head thing. It had like a cape, then it had the head, then it had the piece that went over his face, then it had the unicorn horn coming out, which was it was straight but on an angle. It was old, it was tatty, it was moth-eaten. And we did the unicorn song, and everybody in the pub singing. And when these guys got up on stage, everybody's singing and having a great time. I'm having fish and chips. Brad had, I think, an Irish stew. I think that's what he had. But we had a phenomenal night there. Totally enjoyed it. And then in the evening, we went back home. So that was our engagement and story, in the park in Alexandria there, right next to the torpedo factory. And then dinner at the Murphy's Irish Pub. And then a great night of entertainment with all the singing and everything that was going on. And then we went back home to where we were living at the time, Centerville, Virginia, where we were living. And so that was our engagement story about how we got engaged. I love telling that story. It's such a cool story, especially because I can still remember in my head hearing the bike going across the gravel path, the people walking, the people running, the kids playing. I can still remember every sound that I heard. Like I'm sitting on that park bench with my eyes closed. And if I sit on bench and I close my eyes, I can go back to that moment. I can hear them all doing all their different activities and making all the different noises and stuff, and the plane coming in. And it was after the plane came in to land that Brad whispered in my ear. He said, "There's one thing that you haven't heard." And I start doing the inventory in my head of, well, I did, I'm going off, well, these are the ones I said, don't hear anything else. And that's when he turned around and whispered in my ear. He says, "I love you. Will you marry me?" And yes, I love that. That was a very special day. Just remember it like it was yesterday, like it's happening right now with me, but that's okay. We have the memories, and that's more, we still have the memories. I'm still here to tell the story. They're getting recorded as we do these videos, as we do these Zooms, and as we do these podcasts. The stories are all getting recorded, so somebody at some point in time can come, download them, take the tracks out, and put the story together for future generations to hear. But that was our love story. What's your love story? If you're married, were you the one that proposed? Were you the one that was proposed to? How did all of that happen? What's your story about that? Did you go into some big event, or was it just a quiet night sitting on the couch going about something? Trust me, I have heard this one too, that a couple was sitting there watching a movie one night, and something on the movie came up about marriage or something. They said, "Well, that's, maybe we should do that." "Yeah, okay. What do you think?" "Yep, that sounds like good." Bang, they were engaged. Just like that. It was just a part of a conversation. Others, they've done this elaborate thing that they've put together just to show their romantic side. And it doesn't matter if they're like sitting on the couch and, "You want to get married?" "Yeah, okay. All right. We'll go get a ring tomorrow." So these elaborate plans, anything, there's always a really cool story. And your assignment tonight is your family tree challenge. Ask a couple in your family about the day they became engaged. Where were they? Who proposed? What exactly was said? Was there a ring, and does it have a story of its own? How did they share the news, and what do they remember most about that moment? Record their story today, because every engagement begins with a promise that may shape generations. And let us know in the comments below some of the stories that you uncover. And with that, we are out of here. So go out, have a super fantastic sparkling evening, and we'll catch you guys back here.